Welcome to the driver's seat. 2018 marks an important year for Honda. It's really going to be the year they're going to look back and say this is when we really started the electrification process of all of our vehicles. Now, earlier this year, we reviewed the hydrogen fuel cell Clarity. A few months ago, they did a soft launch of the BEV, or battery electric vehicle, and now we have the all-new plug-in hybrid Clarity. Before launching the plug-in hybrid, Honda conducted focus groups around the country, and it's amazing how many people have no idea what a plug-in hybrid is. Of course, you're going to have range anxiety with any kind of alternative fuel vehicle, but this is, in my opinion, the best of both worlds. So one way to look at this car is that it's a pure electric vehicle for the first 47 miles on a full charge. And that's significant because maybe you only have a 10-mile commute to work. You may never have to visit a gas station. But for those times when you do need to have some serious range, you have a 300-mile trip, once the electric is used up, you have a traditional hybrid vehicle, much like a Toyota Prius. So it really does give you the best of both worlds. And with a starting price of $33,000, it makes a lot of sense. Under the hood of the plug-in Clarity, you will find a 1.5-liter, 4-cylinder Atkinson cycle engine. The combined horsepower and torque, 181 horsepower, 232 pound-feet of torque. It really is an impressive vehicle. You know, Honda says that by 2030, electric vehicles or some combination of electric will make up 2/3 of their lineup. This is not the first time that Honda has brought a plug-in hybrid to market. A few years ago, they had an Accord plug-in. It didn't do so well, primarily because it only had about 20 to 25 miles of range. With 47 miles of range, the Clarity is clearly head and shoulders above most of the competition. The exception would be the Chevy Bolt. Honda felt to have a real impact on the market, they needed their own platform, which is why you have these 3 Clarity vehicles. Now, overall, I like the styling, and when you look at certain individual elements, it looks good. However, there's this. I can't, for the life of me, understand why they went with this design. This reminds me of GM cars from the 60s and 70s when they had this removable flap just to even get to the tire. I know it's for aerodynamics, but it really does make this car look less attractive. I'm hoping there's going to be some kind of mid-cycle refresh in the next couple of years to address this. The cargo area of the Clarity is surprisingly roomy, and you can even have the option of folding down the seats. That's all good. You know, a lot of times you see these electric vehicles, especially ones that have been retrofitted, like an Accord, for example, and you lose a lot of trunk space. Because this vehicle was designed from the ground up to be an electric vehicle, they've addressed that. Where I think Honda was a little bit short-sighted is not making this into a hatchback. You already have the camback design. And while hatchbacks years ago were not that accepted in the market, today in the US, they're very much accepted. And I think it would just be a better vehicle and would have a lot more utility. Honda boasts best-in-class rear seat room. As you can see, it's extremely roomy in here, and there's room for actually 5 adults in this car, unlike some of their competitors. It's actually a good place to be. There's sufficient headroom, not bad. There we go, 60. As you can see, the Clarity is not going to break any speed records, but it's also not slow. You have different drive modes. Normal is the default, and you have Econ if you really want to eke out a few extra miles of range, and Sport mode, which we're in right now. The other thing you have are these paddles, which you're going to start seeing on more and more electric vehicles. The Leaf went with this e-pedal, but the Bolt, for example, has one paddle shifter to basically slow you down using the regenerative braking. This one has 2. On the left, you have the negative, which will slow you down, and on the right, you have the positive, which can actually speed you up without having to actually touch the accelerator. Now, overall, I think they've done a great job. I like the instrument panel. I like the gauge cluster. It's very futuristic. You have an 8-inch infotainment system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto standard. The upgraded package in the Touring includes satellite navigation, not very necessary. But when you look at the seats in the Touring, you get the more comfortable power seats versus the manual seats in the base model. Overall, I think they've done a brilliant job with the packaging. It's priced right and certainly positioned to take on the competition. This is not a Volt, but it is a Chevy, and we recently drove a Volt, which is the top competitor for the plug-in hybrid Clarity. Now, when you compare the two cars, the Volt is a little more expensive, has about 5 miles or 10% more range, but I think that's really where the comparisons stop. This is just a better driving car. I have more faith in Honda. It's less expensive, and the interior just blows the interior of the Volt away. Starting price, I mentioned $33,000 for the base model, a little over $36,000 for the touring model we're driving here today. I really like this car. I like where Honda is going with it. If you want that $7,500 federal tax credit, you better hurry, because right now all indications are that the government will not renew it for 2018, but they may surprise us. Thanks for watching. I'm Ron Doran. We'll see you next time on The Driver's Seat.